Welcome to more Reddit stories.
Girlfriend, 23 female, had an emotional affair 5 months ago. How to deal with extreme jealousy during recovery. My girlfriend of 3 years and a half had an emotional affair about 5 months ago. She basically went on a date with another man while I was out of town taking care of my hospitalized mother. Now, while trying to reconcile, I am dealing with extreme feelings of jealousy that I am not sure are appropriated, but I have no idea how to identify what is controlling versus what makes me rightfully uncomfortable. For example, tonight, while playing a video game together online, another guy joined the party who had joined the past couple of nights also. I have told her in the past that when random guys join, I would prefer the conversation to remain simply about the game. We don't really need to get to know these people on a personal level. Tonight, it became a very long-winded conversation with the guy about religious beliefs and how upbringing led to certain beliefs, etc., etc. I didn't participate in the conversation. She, however, engaged heavily in the conversation for about 20 minutes. I brought up to her that it's very triggering for me to hear her have any deeply personal conversation with another guy. She just says she did nothing wrong, and basically that it's appropriate for her to have these types of conversations because they lead to her growth. Obviously, this person is a stranger, but, in my view, this is the foundation where connections are created. Am I wrong to prefer her not having deeply personal conversations with other men? What is an appropriate boundary to set in a situation like this?
Let's get into some of the comments. Your girlfriend has demonstrated that she's unable to have conversations with depth with other men without crossing lines. I assume it was not just two friends getting together, but a proper date preceded with all an emotional affair contains: sexting, personal revelations, etc. Any physical aspect? Kissing? Regardless, she is unable to have proper boundaries with other men and apparently doesn't see the pitfalls in what she's doing, and is disrespecting you when you inform her if the boundary is you need her to have with others. So, what are you fighting for? I guarantee it's not the same thing girlfriend is fighting for. Has she accused you of being controlling yet? My advice: she's 23. I assume you're the same age. This won't change. Unless you're prepared to be in a relationship where you essentially will be policing your partner, give up, break up, and find someone able to respect you and your boundaries. OP then responded,
Thank you very much for the response. You articulated very well exactly the way that I am feeling, but was failing to articulate. She's unable to have conversations with depth with other men without crossing lines. There was no physical aspect, but there were plans to continue meeting up even when I got back if I had not found out what she did. So I'm sure it was headed that direction. But yes, ultimately, that is how I feel. I do not feel comfortable for her to engage in conversations of depth with other men who will keep coming around, whether that be in person or online, given that she has demonstrated she cannot do so without crossing lines.
the conversation you described was not at all personal or broke any reasonable boundary about other men. Of course, it's up to you to decide what's reasonable, but you know this isn't. But that isn't the issue. The issue is that you simply don't trust your girlfriend, and it's unlikely you've truly forgiven her. I'm also confused how an emotional affair involves a date. That's an affair in all aspects, even if they didn't have sex. You have choices ahead of you. You either discuss with her how you can reconcile or decide to separate. The only obvious alternative to this is to build mistrust and resentment until something breaks. Reconciliation is tough. She needs to do the heavy lifting to regain your trust and rebuild the relationship. You need to forgive her and allow that effort. Head over to As One After Infidelity sub to see the years of effort needed. If you cannot reconcile, then separate, as your expectations are unreasonable and it's only going to get worse. Good luck.
I really appreciate your detailed response here. I'm going to do some reflecting on what you said. There's also been no heavy lifting on her side thus far. She hasn't gone to a single individual therapy session despite the fact I'm being charged $300 a month for therapy that she isn't going to. And honestly, after typing the above paragraph, it becomes more clear to me that I am still angry and haven't fully forgiven, and likely I am dealing with some resentment still. I don't bring up therapy anymore after the first couple of weeks really, because I believe it's important for her to show initiative, that it's an important step and something that she is not only willing to do, but is eager to do.
Buy the book Not Just Friends by Shirley Glass. Read and give it to her to read. This may put a light bulb above her head. Conversations about shared interests, etc. is fine. But when talking about you or your relationship, or advice about you or your relationship, a talk that she wouldn't have with you is crossing the line. When female co-workers would tell me, "I love talking to you instead of my boyfriend," I would tell they should strive to have better conversations and work on communicating better with them and ease out of the current conversation to keep them focused on other things. If it gets too flirty, I nicely end the conversation. She basically went on a date with another man while I was out of town, taking care of my hospitalized mother. She doesn't respect you. I brought up to her that it's very triggering for me to hear her have any deeply personal conversation with another guy. You don't trust her. Doesn't matter why or who is at fault. If you don't trust her and she doesn't respect you, then you're wasting your time asking for advice because nothing will work here. Those two things are the foundation for a solid relationship. Whatever it is you think you have is built on shifting sand will fall out from underneath you, no matter how hard you grasp at it. Your insecurity and her lack of respect for boundaries are a recipe for doom. Grow a spine and move on. She's not for you, she's for them. Next story.
The guy I'm currently dating was the other man before. Just want some opinions and perspectives. I'm seeing a new guy, first since my marriage ended due to my husband having an affair. This new guy is really great. He's been open and honest about his past. He told me he was seeing a girl on and off for a couple of years, and unfortunately she had a boyfriend in prison. I don't know much more detail. I think they met in like 2019, and he said the last time they were ever intimate was 2021. They were friends first, and he knew she had the boyfriend. And one thing led to another, and they started hooking up. He said he's been in therapy since then, and still feels bad that he did something like that. I can't judge too harshly, because I have done some things I'm ashamed of as well. Everything else about him has been so great, and he has been really understanding that I have trust issues. He has done things to build trust already. Anyway, I just don't trust myself to judge this or fully scope out any red flags due to what happened to me. Is this a giant red flag that I'm ignoring?
Let's get into some of the comments. Well, for one thing, you are asking questions about this, so that shows good awareness. You have a lot at stake as a single working mom, so it's wise to consider all angles before fully embracing someone. It's okay to have a bit of armor on. You've spotted a potential red flag, but haven't got enough history with him yet to evaluate if it is a real problem or not. As strangers, we don't know how involved with this other woman he was, or how effective his therapy has been. Nor do we know if there will be any repercussions when her man gets out of prison. I get that he is otherwise great. Most people that we'd all pick to date usually are during the honeymoon period of dating. But as that passes, we start to find out more about the person we are with, including some less than savory traits. You are reacting to new information, as you should do. Currently, this new information isn't a direct threat to your relationship, so it's probably worth continuing. It is, however, something to watch. Dating someone doesn't carry a great deal of investment after all, but it's something to close off before really falling for him and certainly before progressing to a more invested stage. I'd start by looking at how her interacts with your friends. Just how does he communicate with the female ones, and is there any rivalry with your male ones? Is what he says about them to their face the same as he says about them when they are not present? I'd look at the company he keeps. We are the product of our 5 closest people. There's a reason that people are friends. They share the same values. What makes you think that you're not the other woman? I know we should be upfront with new relationships, but I don't see how telling someone that you were an affair partner is ever going to go well. You've repented, move on, but that doesn't need to be told ever. Let it stay in the past. I'm not too sure that you aren't the other woman. You never mentioned if the boyfriend ever got out of prison for him to stop dealing with her. Cheaters lie, and it's hard to gain trust back. I honestly don't know why he told you. How do you know that he is going to therapy just because he told you? Do you have proof? Just go slow and be careful before you let your heart fall for him.
I understand where you're coming from, and that thought has crossed my mind. However, I have met a good amount of his friends at a party he recently had. He introduced me as the girl he is dating and kissed me a few times in front of them. So, unless they are all lying too, there were about 11 friends I met. I don't know about the boyfriend getting out of prison, I just know that things ended with the woman in 2021. I actually think him telling me was an honest thing to do. I told him about my husband's affair and he wanted to be transparent that he unfortunately has been on the other side of that situation.
I don't see it as a huge red flag. He seems remorseful and is in therapy. He told you the truth, which was a big step. He didn't have to say anything. So he is trying to be honorable man now. I would take things slow, especially since this is first since divorce. Take your time and get to know each other. In reference to the shameful things you did, was it something like what he did?
Unfortunately, yes. When I was 20, I hooked up with a guy I knew had a girlfriend. I was stupid and believed him when he said he was going to leave her for me.
Well, if you can forgive yourself and moved on, gotten married and divorced, I'm sure you can forgive him. And that's all for this video. Like, subscribe and leave a comment down below. See you later, guys. Bye.